There are some girls you notice the second they walk into a room. They're not always the prettiest girl there. They might not be trying to get anyone's attention, but somehow you notice them. That's what I mean by the spotlight effect, and Maddie from Euphoria is probably one of the easiest examples to picture. She doesn't walk into a room looking around like, "Does everyone think I'm pretty?" She walks in like she already knows she belongs there. So how do you actually build that? 1. Stop trying to look confident. This sounds backwards, but hear me out. A lot of people think confidence means looking a certain way, standing perfectly, walking slowly, making eye contact, and suddenly you're that girl. But when you're consciously trying to look confident, you're still thinking about how you're being perceived, and people can feel that. Think about someone who's genuinely comfortable. They aren't constantly checking themselves. They're not calculating every sentence before they say it. They're just there. If you're talking to someone, listen to them. If you're dancing, dance. Give your attention to the experience instead of constantly watching yourself experience it. That's when confidence starts looking natural. 2. Become slower to react. You don't have to react to everything. Someone says something slightly rude, you don't immediately defend yourself. Someone doesn't reply to your message, you don't send another one 5 minutes later. Someone walks into the room, you don't have to immediately look at them. There's something powerful about someone who isn't constantly responding to the environment. And this doesn't mean acting cold. It means having a little space between what happens and what you do about it. That space makes you look composed. Maddie has this quality. 3. Have something that's yours. You know those people who are recognizable even before you see their face? Maybe it's their hair, the way they dress. You know it's them. That's not necessarily because they're trying really hard to be unique. They've just developed a point of view. And this is where style becomes much more important than just wearing trendy clothes. If you copy every trend exactly as it comes along, you can look good, but you might not look distinct. The goal isn't to create some crazy signature outfit. It's little things. Maybe you have one hairstyle that just feels like you. Your appearance should slowly start saying, "This is her," because people remember patterns. 4. Learn how to hold eye contact. Not in creepy way. Please, haha. A lot of us break eye contact because we're suddenly thinking, "Oh my God, am I staring?" And then we look at the floor. Or our phone. But think about what happens when someone gives you their full attention. You feel noticed, and that's what makes someone magnetic. When you're talking to someone, try not to mentally leave the conversation to monitor yourself. Look at them, listen, react naturally, and when you finish speaking, don't look away like you're waiting for their approval. 5. Stop giving everyone access to your energy. Being magnetic doesn't mean being mysterious. You don't need to become emotionally unavailable or start acting like you're too cool to care. But you also don't have to give the same amount of energy to everyone and everything. Not every comment needs a response. Not every disagreement needs to become a debate. There's something attractive about someone who has a life that exists outside of other people's opinions. They're not constantly posting to prove they're having fun. They're not changing their personality depending on who's around. And when someone has their own center, people naturally become curious about them. 6. Stop trying to win every room. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need to be the funniest person. You don't need to be the prettiest. Because the second you walk into a room thinking, "I need everyone to like me," you've already given the room control over you. You're going to start adjusting, laughing a little louder, talking a little more, checking whether people are reacting to you. Instead, walk into a room thinking, "I'm here to experience this too." You aren't auditioning, you're participating. 7. Give people something to remember. This doesn't mean becoming louder. Sometimes it's the opposite. Maybe you have a really specific sense of humor. Maybe you have an opinion and aren't afraid to say it. Because ultimately, the strongest presence isn't just, "Everyone noticed me." It's, "People remember how they felt around me." And that's why some people stay in your head long after they've left the room. You become magnetic when you don't collapse, when you're not the center or attention. Because, ironically, the less desperately you try to create a spotlight, the more naturally you seem to stand in one. So maybe don't ask yourself, how do I make people notice me? Ask if nobody was watching me, who would I actually be? Because that girl, the one who isn't performing, isn't begging to be chosen, is usually the girl people end up noticing anyway. That's the spotlight effect.